Most Americans won't retire before 62, not because they didn't save enough, but because they're missing three critical pieces. I'm Taylor DeMars, and after helping hundreds of pre retirees, I've seen firsthand why even $1 million portfolios fall short for early retirement. And so today I'll show you the three blind spots that quietly derail early retirement and how fixing them can move your timeline up by years. Now, you can do everything right for 30 years, save diligently, invest wisely, build a seven-figure portfolio, and still not be ready to retire early. Because here's the truth: saving more won't get you there, planning smarter can. Most retirement calculators assume you've already started Medicare and Social Security. But retire even just 5 years earlier, those safety nets vanish, and suddenly your portfolio has to carry the full weight: income, healthcare, taxes, all without support. But the issue isn't just in the math, it's in the mindset baked into most retirement plans. Conventional planning treats every retirement year the same, with the same income needs, tax exposure. But if you're retiring early, that one size fit all approach can quietly sabotage your plan. Because that first chapter of retirement, it's not when you want to slow down, it's when you finally get to speed up, travel more, pick up new hobbies, spend time with family. And this is the chapter where you want to use your wealth while you still have your health. And ironically, that's when your spending is the highest, but your fixed income is the lowest. It's making the margin for error razor thin. And here's the catch: most plans ignore the gap between your last paycheck and your first Social Security check. And that's where things start to unravel, but also where the opportunity lives. So let me show you how. Now, the first gap is the foundation of every successful early retirement plan, called income stream sequencing, knowing what money to tap and when. And why is this so pivotal? Because at 65, you've got some support beams: Social Security, Medicare, maybe a pension. But at 60, those pillars aren't in place yet. Your portfolio has to carry the full load: income, taxes, healthcare, the works. And here's the catch: it's not just about how much you withdraw, it's where you pull it from that determines how long your money is going to last. Take some clients I met with recently, Rick and Denise, with about $1.6 million saved, and 70% of it was in tax deferred accounts. The original plan was to withdraw just from the IRAs until Social Security kicked in. Simple enough. Simple wasn't smart, though. These heavy pre tax draws in early years can create a double gut punch with steep taxes that causes your portfolio to deplete faster. Instead, we created a blended strategy with Roth, taxable, and pre tax withdrawals, plus some strategic Roth conversions, which helped them save thousands in taxes and gave them the confidence to retire sooner. And the best part, it did more to move up their retirement date than saving even another $250,000. Think of your portfolio like a soft serve machine with different levers for each account type. And the key is knowing which levers to pull and when to create the right blend to balance both your lifestyle and your tax bill. And that's the beauty of early retirement, where better coordination can beat more accumulation. So if you'd like help getting your income sequencing right, click the link in the description to book a call. I'll look at your current setup and how to map out how to turn your savings into a sustainable income stream without the guesswork. And if all this sounds complex, don't worry. On this next section, we'll show you exactly when and how to fix these issues before they even start. Now, the second critical gap is ignoring the 5 year runway into retirement. And this one quietly separates the confident retirees from the anxious ones. So, why is this so powerful? Because it's the only time when you have both the flexibility to make changes and the clarity to see what's coming. A prospective client asked me even just this week, is it too early to plan? I'm still 4 or 5 years out, I think. And I told her that this is just the sweet spot because too many people wait too long. And by the time they realize that something's off, they're already walking out the door. They're already more committed than they are flexible to options. So waiting until the last few months to plan retirement is like your pilot shutting off the engines just to pull up the airport because, hey, you've arrived. But you and I both know that's not how landings work. You don't want to fall into retirement. You want to land it. And landings are carefully planned miles in advance, not being rushed and reactive. So, what needs to happen during this phase? First, cash and asset positioning. This is where you want to rebalance your portfolio, not just for risk, but for real life. I met with a client yesterday who was thrilled with his portfolio's returns last year. But once he realized in our discussion he could retire in just 9 months, that excitement quickly turned into concern. At 59 years old, with several years before Social Security starting, he suddenly saw the gap and realized his portfolio wasn't just for growth anymore, it was about to become his paycheck. And that's why this window matters, because the goal isn't just performance, it's flexibility. Because a $100,000 lifestyle today could, thanks to inflation, could quickly become $180,000 in just 20 years. You need to have shock absorbers for the unexpected, such as medical bills, market dips, and other surprises life throws at us. so you're not forced to sell at the wrong time. The second change is strategic debt elimination. Now, I'm often asked, do I need to be mortgage free to retire early? Not always, but I will say this: I've never had a client tell me that they regret paying off their mortgage before retirement. It doesn't just reduce risk, it feels like a raise. That monthly payment you've been making for decades, well, now it's yours to keep. And third is planning for purpose. This is what most people overlook because retirement isn't just a long vacation. The novelty tends to wear off faster than you think. If you don't fill your calendar up with something intentional like golf or grandkids, you risk drifting into dissatisfaction. In fact, some of my happiest clients work part time in something that they just enjoy. Maybe it's consulting or teaching or just passion projects, not for the paycheck alone, but because it gives structure and meaning to their life, and in addition to bridging this income gap. And fourth, you need to consider flexibility and adaptation because even the best plans will be tested by the markets, your health, or life itself. And that's why retirement planning shouldn't be treated like a one time physical. It's more like having these ongoing checkups. You don't just set it and forget it. You need to adjust it as life unfolds because the goal isn't to predict for the future, it's to be ready for it. Now, when you use this 5 year runway right, retirement doesn't feel like a leap. It feels more like a smooth landing with room to adjust, no matter what life throws at your way. However, financial prep isn't enough. There's another critical ingredient you're thinking about that can quietly make or break your plan, and that is healthcare. This gap is key because everyone knows that healthcare is going to cost more. But what they don't realize, it's not just a budget line item, it's a strategic landmine that can derail both your finances and your health. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, the average ACA premium for a 60-year-old is over $10,000 a year. And that's before deductibles or out of pocket costs. But that number is just the starting point because what you pay isn't based on just your age, it's based on how you structure your income. If you retire before Medicare starts at 65, there's this gap, and it's not just a cost gap, it's a coverage and control gap. You're going from a plan that your employer negotiated for thousands of people to taking on the whole system on your own. So that might mean things such as your longtime doctor is now out of network, or your medication isn't covered anymore, or your premium jumps because your income was just $500 over the subsidy threshold. Unlike most retirement expenses, healthcare isn't predictable. One diagnosis, one denied prescription, and your budget is blown. And that's why we treat healthcare costs like market volatility. You don't try to predict it, but plan around it. And here's what most people miss is healthcare isn't just a cost problem, it's an income planning problem. Because how you withdraw money from your portfolio also directly affects how you pay for this coverage. Take two retirees with the same lifestyle. One may know how to structure income for ACA subsidies, and the other doesn't. Well, the result is thousands of dollars in difference in cost every single year. So, how do you bridge this gap to 65 without blowing up your plan? Well, first consider COBRA, that 18-month period after you left your employer. And yes, it's expensive, but it's crucial, especially if you're in the middle of treatment. And second, ACA or Obamacare, government marketplace plans, which are often subsidized if you structure your income right. Now, health cost cash buffers are important so you're not panic selling your investments in order just to cover your care. And crucially, if you or your spouse have a chronic condition, the stakes can be even higher because the wrong plan doesn't just cost more, it can mean even worse outcomes. And that's why a great advisor won't ask you just how much you need to spend. They'll ask what kind of care you'll need so you can make sure your income plan supports that. Now, most retirees think that healthcare planning is about picking the right plan. But the truth is, it's about designing the right income strategy so you can not only afford the care you need, but not derail the life you want. It's not just about protecting your body for healthcare and retirement, it's about how you protect your portfolio. Now that you've seen these three critical early retirement elements, let's look at how you can actually implement this advice into your retirement plan. And it starts with the real question: how do you know if early retirement is actually going to hold up? And it's not about guessing, it's about testing. For our clients, that's where we use the retirement readiness roadmap approach to leverage scenario testing to reveal the gaps that matter. We'll stress test your plan across multiple what ifs, such as what if the markets drop early in retirement? What if healthcare cost spikes? Or what if you retire 2 years earlier or later? Because the best time to fix a gap is before it becomes a failure. So, how do we actually put this into practice? First, we follow a two-part sequence, which is step one, building your runway. This is this 5 year preparation window we talked about in action, where we can reposition your assets, reduce unnecessary risk, prepare for healthcare, and clarify your spending and purpose. It's about creating a margin, a buffer, so you don't enter retirement by slamming on the brakes, but to be able to land smoothly. And step two is to sequence your income. And that's where you want to design your income bridge from planning when and how to pull from each of your accounts to not only minimize taxes, but qualify for those healthcare subsidies and keep your long term growth intact. Now, why this order? Because income sequencing without preparation is like putting on the roof before you've poured the foundation. But where structure and sequence work together, the plan just truly clicks. Of course, your implementation approach has to be tailored to you. Consider a 58-year-old with excellent health might consider a longer income bridge until starting fixed income. Or a 62-year-old with chronic conditions might prioritize healthcare alignment before anything else. Now, the best retirement planning considers these trade offs, not pretending like everything is black and white. Because retirement is not static. Life changes, markets fluctuate, and priorities can modify as well over time. So the best planning doesn't just handle change, it's built for it. And now that you've seen the three missing pieces most early retirement plans overlook, the real question is this: can your plan hold up without them? Because if you want to retire earlier than society thinks we should, it's not about saving more, it's about planning smarter. So if you'd like personalized help putting all this together, from income sequencing to healthcare to building your 5-year runway, click the link in the description to book a call with me, where I'll take a close look at your current approach, help you identify the key gaps, and show you exactly how to strengthen your plan so you can retire with clarity and confidence. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.